and that's where customer experience comes in. Speaking of customer experience, our digital presence, Simulcast, is a huge part of our world now and how people buy and sell cars. And Simulcast is something that you should all be familiar with. And so today we have some of the people behind the curtain that make that happen, that have improved the experience for Simulcast, probably made your lives a little easier. And today we're going to hear from Ken Gavranovic. I've been practicing that all day. Did I do it right?
Yes.
All right, thanks. Ken, come on up. Ken's a VP in technology. Ken?
So, good afternoon. Welcome from Atlanta, Georgia. My name is Ken Gavranovic, Vice President of Technology. We're glad you're here. I'm joined by Jeff Stone. Why don't you come up, Jeff, for a second? And I'll tell you a little bit more about me. Jeff, tell everybody about it.
Right, I'm Jeff Stone. I am a senior engineer in the application support team. I have been with Manheim for 17 years. I started with ADT. I was actually part of the ADT conversion into Manheim. I have worked in the field for 10 years at Manheim Dallas and Manheim Denver.
Impressive. Wow. Thanks, Jeff. So again, Ken Gavranovic, Vice President of Technology. In Cox years, I am an infant. I'm not even walking yet. I've only been here a little over a year. But loving it, loving all the things that we do. And we're here today to talk a little bit about Simulcast. So I'm going to go into some details. Before I do that, let me just tell you a little about the products that I manage here at Technology at Manheim Corporate. You've probably heard of Simulcast, right? OVE, Manheim.com. Those are three of the software teams that I manage. I also have a team called Application Support, where Jeff is part of, that kind of handle triage. So if you're out there in the field and you call customer care and they have to escalate it, and they have to escalate it again, you might get Jeff or a couple of the folks in the room here to go triage those issues and figure it out. I also have the team that does site operations. So as I mentioned, we're here to talk about Simulcast today. First of all, from a sign of hands, let's think about last year. Let's think about audio-video problems at Simulcast. And I'd like you to raise your hand. I can't see everybody, but the people in the room, if last year you remember having some Simulcast issues, right? What about earlier this year? Raise your hand if you remember having a lot of video problems, a lot of problems where we're all running around trying to take care of our customers. So hopefully you've noticed in the last 6 months a big difference, a big improvement in the quality. We don't really have those audio and video issues. Matter of fact, I don't think we've had any audio and video since we've pretty much put this in place, other than a few network issues. So I want to talk a little bit about that solution and how we got there. And it always goes back to a problem. So about, I don't know, it's probably January, February, Lydia James in our digital department called us up, and we had a customer that says Credit Acceptance Corp, and they said, hey, listen, your Simulcast streams aren't working. So I did what any good executive did. I said, all right, Jeff, Credit Acceptance Corp, they said the streams aren't working, figure it out. Jeff, what you did?
Yeah, so Credit Acceptance came to us and they said that exactly that they were having streaming problems at multiple auctions and multiple lanes. So for a period of about 2 weeks, every time they saw an issue, they called me. I jumped on with them, watched the sale, and it was really frustrating because for those 2 weeks, all I could say was, I'm not seeing interest.
Right, so of course then as another great executive does, I called Jeff, I said, hey, we take care of Credit Acceptance Corp yet? Where are we at on that? And he said, well, Ken, do you understand the complexity of the problem? We've got over 75 auctions, over 891 lanes, so every one of those lanes, we've got a microphone and we've got a camera. And those microphone and cameras go to network and they transmit back to headquarters. And then we stream that out to all of our customers. And I'm trying to find which stream the customer's looking at that particular moment to see if it's working. And so, well, so the only thing we can do is just look and see what the customer says and try to hope we get that lane. And that's what we had been doing those 2 weeks. And I thought that there's got to be a better way, right? There's got to be something we can do better. So I went and reached who we refer to here as Mr. Simulcast, a gentleman named Chris Flourish, who couldn't be here today. He was going to do a great diagram for you. I'll show it to you a little bit. But he had some emergency family issues that he had to take care of. I said, Chris, there's got to be a way that we can automate monitoring those 891 lanes with 891 cameras and 891 microphones and 75 network locations. Can't we do that in a very automatic way? And he looked at me like any good technologist, and he says, Ken, you don't get it. This is a complicated problem. And I said, what, complicated? And then he showed me this diagram. And I said, well, okay, that doesn't seem that bad. And he said, oh, that's just the bottom part. And I said, all right, Chris. I said, let's put your brain power together, because for those of us who met Chris, he's a really, really smart guy. I said, you've got to be able to write some software. And here's what I think we need to make it do. We need to go from our data center, and we need to check all 891 locations. And we need to know, does that video stream work? Does that audio work? Does that network connection work? We need to know that all the time. He said, all right, Ken, I think I can do that. And I said, but wait, what I also heard, and Jeff told me, he said, sometimes customers call us, or you guys out in the field call us, and you say, hey, it's not working, and we here at corporate, we click on some screens, say, it's working great for us. Well, it's not working for the customer, right? It's not working for you guys. So we've said, Chris, we need to build something in the cloud. So Chris built another part of the system in the cloud that from that location looks at all of those streams from our customer's perspective, okay? And so what we've done by putting that in place is we took that monitor, we're checking all of those cameras. I've actually got a couple of people in the room that help do some of that work. And we put it in a great group. The gentleman over there, you can't see him right now, Scott Rogers manages. And we said that he's got two locations. He's got an East Coast NOC, which is a network operations center, so a bunch of people in there watching computer screens. And he's got a East Coast operations, again, a bunch of people in there watching network screens. And this new software that Chris built checks all of those cameras all the time. And so for those of you out in the field, if you've noticed, we haven't had any simulcast issues. We actually have had no simulcast issues. We've had over 400 times since this was put in place that if we wouldn't have had this system in place, our customers would have been impacted. You would have been calling corporate, you've been saying, gosh, those corporate IT guys, can't they get it right? That's 400 times that it's been automatic, it's been taken care of. And for those of you field techs out there, you know, we don't have any special cameras, but if you're a field tech out there, here's what might happen to you. Is you might be at the auction one day and your phone rings and it says, lane 7, the microphone's unplugged. Like, somebody watching me, what's going on here, right? Or it might say the video's unplugged on lane 8, or the video's choppy. Something's not you do it. So again, we've been able to detect those things over 400 times and solve that for a customer in advance. Now, I will say this technology is absolutely not perfect. For those of you in Daytona, we apologize for calling you about lane 7. We found out, we kept calling you and saying, lane 7's not working, the audio and video, and then finally you told us that you guys had stopped using lane 7. So technology was working right. We need to get a little bit better on our process. So that's something we're gonna certainly work on. So we put all that together, great results. And again, I think that's the part I hope you guys appreciate is now, almost all the time, we know if our customer has a potential impact well before there's any sales, and we haven't had to run around that. But I went to Jeff after we built all that stuff, said, Jeff, I'm so excited about all this great stuff we're doing. He's like, I still have credit acceptance score, and I can't solve that problem. So we went back to Chris, and we said, write that software, Chris, and make it so that Jeff can test it with the customer. And when he gave you that software, tell all what you did.
Yeah, so week 3, we finally got a hold of that tool Chris wrote. We went to credit acceptance and said, hey, we've got this new tool we want you to try out. We sent it to them, said, send us back the results you get from this. We knew right away, seeing the results, that we had a problem. So for example, in Manheim-Fredericksburg, we partnered with the network team. We got them to improve performance with the network in Manheim-Fredericksburg, and then credit acceptance said their issue went away.
Yes, if I just add that, when we put this in place, we determined that credit acceptance problem was not actually simulcast. It was actually that our network location from like 2 to 3 p.m. in Fredericksburg had issues. The system was able to detect that and we were able to permanently solve that. And you also did something with CarMax too, right?
Yeah, so CarMax called us with the exact same problem. Multiple streams failing at multiple auctions in multiple lanes. But by this time we had this awesome tool in our toolbox and we said, hey, let's get you to run this for us and send us the results. And then in this case right away we knew that CarMax had a network issue on their end that was causing their issues.
Perfect. So hopefully you guys are feeling that. I want you guys know that here at Corporate IT, we're working on making sure we monitor all the systems because we have a lot of systems running Manheim.com, Simulcast, these various applications, and there's a lot of things that go wrong. To you and our customers, it's M.com, but it may be something else underneath the hood that's doing that. So one of the things we're doing is making sure we build this kind of monitoring into all of our systems. So when there is an issue, we know exactly what the issue is. And the reason that's important is if I tell you, hey, there's a simulcast problem, that's a lot different than saying the microphone's unplugged in lane 7, right? Just like if I say, hey, there's a m.com CR issue, some of those we saw that this week. If I told you, oh, we know exactly what that was an MSC issue, so then we can fix it sooner. So when it's been this time to talk, also, Jeff told me this was a terrible idea, but I decided to go ahead and put my information up there just to let you know that if you've got better ideas and how we can develop solutions, if you see ways that we can improve our customer experience, feel free to give me a call. Usually available, it's the cell phone, there's the email. Look forward to helping you. And with that, we'll take any questions. Turn back over to Jay.
All right, Jeff. Let's hear it for these guys. You guys are very enlightening. You know, my head hurts from looking at that.
Yeah, come on, you know.
So I forgot to tell you guys earlier that if you have questions at the auction, send your questions to j.jones at what's my email address now? It turns out Mannheim.com. You can try the m.talks at Mannheim.com. You're always free to send questions there, and we'll get those answered. I'm having some technology issues with my laptop, and it just so happens a lot of people from technology are here today. So maybe we'll end early and I can get my laptop working.
Yes, get you a new laptop.
So we already have a few, in Tracy Palma is helping me out with questions. She actually has her laptop, my laptop, and my phone in her lap right now to monitor these. So
Multitasking.
I know we got at least one question earlier, so maybe we'll take that.
Yep. So what about Internet Explorer and Chrome? Are those browsers supported by this tool?
Well, I think by the tool might be the question. Maybe what they meant was, you know, can you watch the simulcast stream? So without going into a lot of detail, for security reasons, a lot of the browsers are changing the way you can do what's a plugin, which allows that video stream to happen. So if you notice, if you have Windows 10, they have Edge, which is a brand new browser. So the answer is yes, we are working on the ability to play in the new versions of Chrome and Edge, and that will probably be in hopefully Q4, Q1, we'll be able to release that.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the audience? Don't do this to me again. Somebody. Anyone? All right.
We do have one more online.
Okay, let's try that.
Yep. So if we know of a customer who is having audio and visual issues with Simulcast, how do we get them this tool?
That's a good question. So what you'll do is call customer care, open a ticket, and say, can you please escalate this to application support, that we have this situation where customer says they can't view the stream. And then eventually that will get up to Jeff or one of his cohorts. We've got a couple of them here in the room today, and we'll troubleshoot it for you, and we'll get that figured out, find out if it's the customer's issues. You know, again, the good news is we're pretty sure now at this point it's not our audio video stream issue, so it's really a matter of helping them locate the issue.
Yeah, you guys may regret this. Now everyone knows your faces, your email address.
Jeff told me not to do it, so I'll go back and check my email
We
out
got
there
some
and
little
find
team
out.
now. Ready
Yeah,
to
that's
go.
right. That's right.
Any other questions from the audience? I think